All right, guys, and we are back at Pull Flex for you, but I still got my flannel on. I guess we'll whip this thing off and we'll get into talking about what we're all here for, what you guys are here for. We're going to talk about drugs, more specifically hormones, but I suppose caffeine is a drug nonetheless. So let's talk about this. Okay, you guys are all excited and interested and waiting for this video to hit, for this video to drop, because we're going to talk about what you guys want to be talking about, what you're all here for, right? Boom. And I don't know if you guys can notice, from my YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, TikToks, whatever, what have you, we're getting jacked. We're looking jacked. We're looking crazy. We're looking big, all right? So, I mean, this is pretty freak sauce stuff we're doing here, right? Maximum muscle mass, maximum fat loss, and maximum strength, all in one go, peak state, continual. Go watch the last couple episodes, you guys, if you want to know exactly where we're at, what we're doing, what's going on. But this video, guys, nonetheless, what are we going to be doing? You guys know we're talking about drugs, hormones, cycle, diet, what have you. All right, so let's get right into this. First and foremost, guys, let's talk about what we're doing for peak state.
This is my last chance for victory. The flames burn hot.
All right, I already told you guys in one of the last videos that we did here, I already said, hey, I'm not just trying to peak for a second, for a moment. We're trying to do this thing. We're trying to peak state for 10, 20 years, whatever length of time that I want to do this thing for, right? All right, yeah. You guys know, go watch my YouTube shorts if you want to see some, see what we're looking at. I showed you guys my legs. I showed you guys, some crazy lifts. But point aside, let's just get right into this. All right, so peak state, what are we doing? Drugs, hormones, etc. Let's get right into this. Now, keeping in mind, obviously, that we're trying to do peak state, do this for 10, 20 years, whatever, whatever length of time, whatever truthfully I want to do. So first and foremost is none other than testosterone cypionate from one of my doctors, from a U.S. pharmacy. Guys, if you want high dose testosterone replacement, real high dose testosterone replacement, go to thehumanperformanceclinic.com. The link is in the comments, but you guys already know that you can check out my website. Anyways, so we're doing testosterone cypionate, all right? I'm currently prescribed 300 milligrams testosterone cypionate from the pharmacy with a prescription. Now, what am I actually using? Guys, right now I'm using about 225 milligrams per week of that prescription. Why? Why am I not using all 300? Because I'm just going to be blunt with you guys, all right? The reason I'm doing like 225 milligrams testosterone cypionate right now is because I've noticed as my weight's dropping, I started cutting down when I was at like 226. I'm like 206 right now, and I notice as my body weight, guys, is dropping, I don't need as much testosterone, all right? I can notice my levels are getting higher just because I'm dropping body weight, right? Which is natural, all right? So I have, when I started so I've been dropping the dosage as I need to, because thing is, if I'm waking up in the middle of the night, every couple hours, if I'm getting some, waking up every couple hours, some sleep disturbances, if I'm having a little, too much energy, maybe, a little anxiety or what have you. I mean, the body's telling you, hey, your dosage is too high. You got to back off a little bit, right? That's the reason, the body, that we're talking about auto-regulation. So if you go too high with testosterone, what happens, right? I mean, it's obvious. You start to wake up too much at night. Maybe you have too much energy, a little anxiety. That's your body's way of telling you, hey, we're a little too high. You need to back off, okay? Now, what bodybuilders usually do, and you guys already know what I'm going to say, what bodybuilders usually do is they say, well, we're not going to back off. We're going to keep increasing the dosage of testosterone or whatever we're using, And we're going to start just taking sleeping meds. We'll start taking ancillaries and all these things to kind of blunt the side effects that your body is giving you, telling you, hey, this is too much, right? So we're not doing this because we're trying to do this long term, right? Long term, what have you, for long periods of time, 10, 20 years. Think about that, right, guys? 10, 20 years plus, whatever I want to do peak state for, become the best ever, my best in the world, whatever. Whatever crazy thing this turns into, right? So right now, right for this second, for this moment, okay, I'm prescribed my prescription from one of my doctors from the U.S. pharmacy is for 300 milligrams testosterone cypionate per week. I have dropped that right now to about 225 milligrams per week. I'm doing every other day injections, 29 gauge, half inch. All right, that's just the best way to do it. Could I do everyday shots with a 30 gauge 5/16? Yeah, I could, and that's fine too. But I think every other day is probably the best in terms of, okay, most stable versus not feeling like a pincushion and just being a pain in the butt to try to keep doing this thing, right? All right, so that's what we're doing for testosterone. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm gonna go to the lab and check what my level's at. My level's probably somewhere around 1,500. That's just where I feel my best. When I start to creep over 1,500, I've noticed myself personally, that's when I start to wake up every couple hours at night, sleep disturbances, you know, maybe too much energy, anxiety, right? What have you. We just talked about that. And for the people that have no idea, because they don't know, guys, the top of the testosterone range today, guys, in 2025 is what? It's about 950. The top of the testosterone range in the 1950s, 75 years ago, was about 1,700, okay? It was double. The range, the testosterone range, listen up, the testosterone range is not a recommendation for how much you should have. It just tracks the general population over time. So the thing is that we know how much the human body can and will and should produce with good genetics under proper circumstances, but because of microplastics, our food comes in plastic, everything we drink out of is plastic versus it used to be glass and metal. We have the estrogens in the water from birth controls and all sorts of other things, again, plastic production as well. We have all these, you know, poisons and chemicals and toxins in our environment we never used to, and we could get into the long laundry list of all this stuff, right? And I could talk about this for an hour, but we'll leave it at that, right? Men used to have about twice the level they have today, and that's why everyone's a beta boy. I'm not saying if you want to stay natural, but if you're serious and you want to get to your peak and be healthy and do this the rest of your life, come to my clinic. I'll get you with one of my doctors, and we'll jack you to the top 1%, you know, very top 1% of what can be considered human, and you can thrive and be jacked and big, and you can do this the rest of your life without dying, right? Okay, so anyways, and if you don't, I don't care. All right, do whatever you want, right? Anyways, all right, let's move into, we covered testosterone, let's move into HGH replacement. Right now, what I'm doing for HGH replacement is two things. I'm taking Samorelin acetate from the pharmacy, from the doctor, and I'm taking anywhere from 300 to 600 micrograms per injection, per shot. Now, for the people that don't know, Samorelin is very close to growth hormone releasing hormone. Growth hormone releasing hormone travels from the hypothalamus, hits the pituitary, triggers a big dump, a big release, a big pulse of HGH. It's the best stuff on planet Earth for releasing human growth hormone besides CJC 1295 DAC, but DAC comes with some issues. If you start using DAC, you might as well just keep using it. Dose it high, dose it long, but it messes with your natural pulses a bit. Why? How do I know this? Because when I get off DAC, it takes me a little bit to feel normal again. That's a whole nother video. So right now, we're keeping it simple, keeping it short, keeping it sweet. I'm just taking one big shot of Samorelin acetate, also known as growth hormone releasing hormone. It's very close. And I'm just taking that, you know, halfway throughout the day. One time during the day just to give me a nice big pulse. help out with recovery and muscle building. Again, that's available through me and my doctors. The link is in the comments. All right, let's move on, right? Let's move on. So we got testosterone. We already talked about what I'm doing for HGH replacement. Let's finish talking about HGH replacement. Melatonin. Melatonin is not a drug. It's a hormone. It's not a supplement. Here in the U.S., the government, allows melatonin to be sold as a dietary supplement. Melatonin is not a supplement, guys. It's a hormone. All right. So melatonin, produced by the pineal gland, does a couple things. Most of you guys know it for sleep. But what melatonin does do, and most people don't know about this, is melatonin actually increases. It's basically like if you had a fast car. Let's say you had a Cadillac big V8. You floor the gas pedal. All of a sudden, once you hit 100, 110, you hear a clink. That's the governor pops on, and then you can't give it any more gas, right? Melatonin basically acts as the governor override, okay? So if you have melatonin in your bloodstream, especially a decent amount of it, it basically removes the governor from your pituitary gland. So what am I getting at here? If you have melatonin in your bloodstream, your brain will release far greater pulses of human growth hormone when using Sermorelin, growth hormone releasing hormone, any growth hormone releasing peptides such as IPAM, GHRP2, DAC, I don't care, what have you. You guys get the idea. I've talked about this in other videos. So, so that's why it's good if you're not doing synthetic only for HGH, taking, 2 to 5, maybe up to like 7 milligrams of melatonin before bed is great. And then, sometime in the morning, first half of the day, that's when you hit your pulse of growth hormone releasing hormone, Sermorelin, and guess what? You release a much bigger pulse, way bigger. Or you can take it in the middle of the night. You can take the Sermorelin in the middle of the night too, and then reap all the benefits. And that way it doesn't interfere with your natural production. We'll have to talk about this more because I just got off the phone with a client, patient, whatever. We were talking about, the doctor usually says take the Sermorelin right before bed. That's fine. That'll work great. But the thing is that if you take the Sermorelin right before bed, your body senses this big, you're basically triggering the pulse before the body would naturally trigger its first pulse, because the human body releases all of its growth hormone, almost all of its growth hormone, the first 3 to 4 hours of sleep. So the idea is go to bed with some melatonin, right? You get your natural pulse, and then after that, take your Sermorelin. Otherwise, take it in the morning or the first half of the day so you still have a little melatonin in your bloodstream. Guys get the idea? All right. Mix it up, experiment, do what works best for you. But I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So 225 testosterone cypionate per week currently. The Sermorelin acetate, 300 to 600 micrograms taken as described. And then melatonin, I'm taking about 5 milligrams right before bed, okay? And you'll want to use just anything high quality. Look up melatonin, use melatonin that's been lab tested, because here in America, since it's sold as a supplement, so much of it a lot of it is super cheap, and it actually contains serotonin, which is illegal without a prescription, go figure. But the FDA doesn't care because it doesn't regulate supplements, which is just, again, you should be able to get melatonin dirt cheap prescribed from your doctor and it be 100% pure. But here in America, a lot of the melatonin is corrupted. It actually contains serotonin, which will keep you awake at night and give you restless leg syndrome and other issues. So what I recommend doing is, quite honestly, go type in, melatonin that's been lab tested, so you can make sure you're getting stuff that's actually, pretty potent and real. Anyways, I myself use Nature made 5 milligram tablets. That's one of the purest. All right. Nature's Bounty is kind of mixed here in the States. Anyways. All right. We talked about testosterone, HGH replacement, melatonin. Well, we've talked about hormones. Well, what about drugs? You said drugs. Let me tell you guys something real quick. Maybe some of you guys care, maybe you don't. I really don't care at this point. What's the difference, guys, between drugs and hormones? Really, legitimate question. Do you guys know? Drugs can encapsulate pretty much anything that is, a compound that can be taken by the human body. Drugs can encapsulate anything, right? From marijuana to Benadryl to testosterone, drugs can theoretically fit anything. It's just a compound. But guess what? There's a big difference between drugs and hormones, right? The name, what is implied by those names. Let me tell you what the difference is. Hormones by nature are something that the human body produces naturally. Let me say that again. Hormones are something that is naturally occurring in the human body, right? Melatonin, testosterone, HGH, estrogen, and ghrelin, the list could go on. These are hormones. These are things that are naturally occurring in the human body. Drugs, when we say drugs, even though they could imply hormones or include hormones, drugs are things that are not found. Even though they can include things that are found in the human body, it's usually implied that drugs are things that are not found in the human body. Benadryl, not found in the human body, right? Benadryl, an allergy medication, produced synthetically, right? Dianabol, right? Things like other steroids, Deca, Winstrol. You want to talk about other drugs? We could talk about hard drugs, cocaine. We could talk about, marijuana. We could talk about all this other stuff. So hormones are things that are naturally occurring in the human body, right? So that's true, real hormone replacement, right? And then we have drugs, which can include hormones, but most of the time what people think is things that are synthetically made in a lab that are not occurring in the human body. So when I talk about drugs, the only drug that I am really doing is what? Caffeine, okay? Caffeine, not existing in the human body. I'll have some black coffee or some caffeine pills if I need a pop, if I need some energy, right? Some go get ya, let's train. But really, guys, the only drug that I am taking is caffeine, all right? So 3 hormones I'm taking: testosterone, HGH replacement via Simorlin, which is basically growth hormone releasing hormone, which is found naturally in the human body. And I'm also taking melatonin. So I'm taking 3 hormones, right? And the only drug that I'm taking is what? Caffeine, all right? And I'll take, 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams pre-workout, maybe a little black coffee throughout the day as I'm dragging. But guys, that's pretty much what I'm taking. So what is that, 4 compounds? No ancillary, no AI. AIs have all sorts of problems. You don't take an AI unless you absolutely have to. Why? It destroys your natural growth hormone production. It makes your joints hurt, and we can talk about that. That's one of the biggest sides, joint pain, and it screws up your sleep, okay? And we can get into all these other stuff. Remember, guys, it's not so much about the estrogen level, it's about the ratio, right? So if your testosterone's higher, but your estrogen's higher, it's not as big of a deal. Don't be focused so much on the number, it's about the ratio. So if you have, let's say you have 500 total testosterone level and your estrogen's 50, okay, well you have high estrogen according to the ratio. The really good doctors, don't look at the number, it's more like cholesterol, it's the ratio, okay? Anyway, and also, guys, don't worry about taking an AI unless you have symptoms, all right? So, if you're symptomatic, that's different. Take something, absolutely. But if there's no symptoms, then I would highly recommend, talk to your doctor to confirm what I'm saying. But this is real fact in hormone replacement. I'm just giving you guys the best information, because the number one cause of using too much of an AI, especially when you don't need to, is joint pain, bad sleep. And why? Because the AI reduces the synovial fluid you have in your joints. So joint pain, bad sleep, and we could go on with that. Guys, says Spartan, stay safe, stay healthy. We're going to keep moving with Peak State, getting ripped, getting jacked, looking good. And again, guys, you guys want the best doctors. You guys want to get plugged in with the best doctors, the best prices, testosterone, HGH replacement. You want to get to your best, your peak. Go to my website, thehumanperformanceclinic.com. Link is in the comments again. Guys, we'll see you soon. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep cranking. I'm looking incredible already, and I'm super happy, super thankful I can be doing this again. God bless. We'll see you soon.
This is my life.